Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, another former WWE champion is set to return.
WWE brings back the blood.
A top WWE star is going to be out for 9 months.
And a top AEW star has suffered a major injury. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm very confused.
And this is the news.
Alright, so we've got another report here to kick things off about a former WWE champion potentially returning to the company. Obviously, this week, we had the big hype heading into Raw, where Fightful reported WWE's working on getting a former champion for day one, and then Triple H was like, yeah, that's true. And then it actually happened. It was The Rock, but via Jinder Mahal.
2 for 1, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like for like. Just similar levels of star. But now it sounds very much like another former champion could be on the way back, and that is Trinity Fatu.
Yes!
AKA Naomi when she was in WWE. This is a report here from Fightful Select, of course it is, noting that she is expected to be a free agent very soon. Now, she is the current Knockouts champion in TNA, of course, and you'd imagine that with the TNA rebrand kind of just around the corner, that they'd probably be quite keen to keep hold of her. However, sources believe that at some point she might be on her way back to WWE. Now, last January, going all the way back, WWE sources said that one day they were confident of getting Trinity back, but there was a bit of a hiring freeze at the moment, and they didn't know what was going on, really. Obviously, Trinity ended up in Impact/TNA, where she's been very successful. But now, WWE sources not only think that there's a good chance she could end up back, many sources expect it. One commented that, this was on Tuesday, a source commented that something huge would have to happen for her to not end up back in WWE sooner than later. This is a crazy free agent period. So this report doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to show up on SmackDown this Friday, but it does sound like it's something that could be on the horizon whenever that contract expires. No real clarity on an exact date or anything like that. But you know, her and Mercedes, Sasha Banks, obviously left at the same time. They're very good friends. They were women's tag team champions when they left that episode of Raw. They famously left their belts on John Laurinaitis' desk.
Completely justified doing what they did, by the way.
Like stand up for workers, always. Well, I mean, unless they're like total wankers. But they're
that
not.
Caveat,
But they're not. So to me, this shows the power of not having Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis around anymore.
Yeah, I think the moment that they left, you thought, well, one or both of those two will be eventually heading back to WWE. Mercedes Money obviously has gone off and done other things, and looks like, as we reported yesterday, she's going to be heading to AEW proper soon. But I think I always assumed Naomi Trinity Fatu was going to be going back to WWE long term, or other halves there, of course. But she's another one of those people who didn't just sort of sit there and twiddle her thumbs when she left the company. A bit different from when sometimes people are released and what have you. But she's really showcased her talents in Impact, now TNA. And I think it's a big loss for them. Obviously, they've got great talent there. Jordan Grace, the likes of that in that women's division. So that I'm sure they will have tried hard to keep her. But a bit like when Punk came in, I think that's the moment TNA were like, yeah, probably we're gonna lose this person.
Yeah, could be an interesting period for the women's division, the Knockouts division over in TNA, because Deonna Purrazzo's now a free agent as well, and she's been a fixture for a long time. You mentioned Jordan Grace. I think she's absolutely awesome. So it's cool seeing her thriving and stuff. But yeah, going to be an interesting year for that company in general. I'm looking forward to Hard to Kill next week.
Me too, yeah.
Because it's like a grand reset.
Grizzled young veterans on that show, aren't they?
They're on the show,
Come
baby.
on!
They're on the show.
The best.
Soon to be recognised. Yeah, why did WWE make them like cult members? It is weird, strange decisions, but you know they're going to do well. So yeah, like look, let us know down below what you think actually of the current free agent situation. It's completely insane. It's crazy. Kazuchika Okada is in play, for goodness sake. Mercedes Moné, Trinity, who we've just spoken, Andrade, lots of people flying around. Just talk about free agents and where you want them to go and what you want to see Trinity do. Should she stay or should she go, like the Clash?
And speaking of comebacks, Blood is making a comeback in WWE. Obviously, we saw it on Monday Night Raw when Nia Jax chinned Becky Lynch, KO'd her basically. I think she'd either been busted open or popped a little blood capsule in her mouth just prior to that. But obviously it's very rare that we see these sort of things happen when it's not just a complete accident or Brock Lesnar being Brock Lesnar, basically. WWE may have changed their tune regarding blood, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio. Like I said, it was a bit unusual to see that. And then focus on it as part of the match.
Yeah.
Bloodbath being used, not really a bloodbath, but
It's a bit of red. Like
Meltzer basically said them putting the attention on the blood was not an accident. Obviously, they've said for a long time, blood's bad, blood's unprofessional, blood's bad for the business. And now they're like, maybe it's not so bad. I think it's one of those things where you can have too much of a good thing when it comes to blood. I think you have to have it in small measures to really make you feel the impact. As much as I say that, I did love when Moxie would get like cocktail sticks shoved in his head or whatever.
I love that visual.
But an interesting new direction from WWE. And another example of changing decisions at the top with Vince McMahon no longer there.
Yeah, as with like everything else, with every other like parlor trick in wrestling, it's best used sparingly to preserve the impact, like you said. And there is an argument that certain wrestlers use blood too much, including my favorite North American wrestler, Jon Moxley, who I love dearly. But I do think it adds something to a product, 100%. Like, obviously not, Brock Lesnar elbowing Randy Orton in the skull at SummerSlam 2016, which was quite a silly spot, for sure.
Did Brock just run himself into a turnbuckle against Cody? Was that when he got busted? When he got that massive one on his forehead, like Backlash or whatever
I don't remember. Brock does what he wants.
Brock
does what he wants, and who's going to stop him? So, I think it can enhance it. It can make things feel more intense and hateful and bitter. And, also it's kind of like, I don't know if this was their intention, but it's a nice callback to the Survivor Series 2018 when Becky was bleeding out the nose.
Yes, exactly.
From Nia Jax's big right hand. She got a better big right hand than the Big Show, brother.
She's the best.
She rules. That was my match of the year for about an hour yesterday. We kicked ass. But I think it's effective, and I would welcome WWE using it.
Yeah, and let's not forget of the days of the, what was it, Joe versus Balor, where they were like, stop the match!
Yeah.
We have to cover you with a towel briefly. That really wound me up when they did that.
You are bleeding out, friend. This is rough. Yeah, I'm not advocating for them to start getting the pizza cutter out or whatever, as fun as that was. But WWE product is a different beast. It's cleaner, it's more polished, it's PG, obviously. But you can use a little bit, man. The Becky stuff wasn't gory.
No, exactly. And my sources are telling me that Nick Gage is going to be the next signing for WWE off the back of this.
He is the king, so it makes sense for him to get hired by the King of Kings.
I'll still never forget the pizza cut spot. And they're like, do you like Domino's?
It's like one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments in wrestling history.
Good.
Bring back Nick. I love Nick Gage. He's just a complete gentleman. Maybe not, but he's a cult of personality.
He's got good morals as well in terms of the stuff he supports on social media. I will say that
100%.
For a guy who stabs people with forks, you're like,
I respect any person who's able to turn their life around to that extent as well.
Exactly.
So, shout out to Nick Gage. Right, we're moving on to our next story of the day. We're going to talk about one of WWE's biggest injured names, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
She can be out for ages.
Jeez.
9 months. She's expected back in WWE around about October, according to PW Insider's Mike Johnson. He notes that Charlotte is getting surgery in Alabama this week. Bob Holly conducting it. He's a doctor now. So
he's been a race car driver.
Ass kicker.
Yeah.
And now he's a surgeon.
Give him a scalpel.
So she's getting surgery on her very serious knee injury. Sorry, Charlotte. We're laughing at Bob Holly.
Yes.
She tore her ACL, her MCL, and her meniscus. Obviously, return windows on injuries of this severity are very variable. So I'd imagine October is an estimate rather than you will definitely be back, Charlotte Flair. But it's a very serious injury. It's not all bad news in her house at the moment. She's got the new contract, right? So she's one of the highest paid wrestlers in WWE history, but women's wrestlers in WWE history, but she's going to want to wrestle because that's what she does. So best wishes to her. I hope that the recovery period is not, it's going to be taxing obviously, but as untaxing as it can be both physically and mentally, because Charlotte Flair is a chaotic force for wildness on TV, and I will miss her.
I will say this because it does annoy me when people are like, good, I'm glad so-and-so's injured so they're not going to be on my telly soon. Whatever you feel about Charlotte Flair, she is a consummate professional. She always delivers in big match situations. Apart from that. But in big match situations, remember when we were thinking oh God, Rhea versus Charlotte at WrestleMania, and then they had an absolute banger last year. Whatever your opinions of her, I think, people should just maybe think about people not being able to do the thing they love for 9 months or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit wild that people would celebrate stuff like this. I mean, unless it's like a war criminal,
Yeah.
right? Like, which I don't think Charlotte Flair is. She's just a wrestler. Like,
And my limited knowledge of like ACL, MCL injuries from MMA fighters and stuff, this is not an injury you want to rush back from.
no. Take your time. But I'm sure she'll be back stronger than ever.
And hey, Charlotte, if you're watching and you're thinking that was a very good bit about Hardcore Holly that you did there, and you're stuck for something to do for 9 months, why not hit that subscribe button? And even if you're not, Charlotte,
lots of videos about Bob Holly right here.
Right, let's continue the discussion of injuries by talking about an AEW star, Kota Ibushi, who was unfortunately hospitalized with some horrible injuries on a Pro Wrestling Noah show just yesterday. He was wrestling Naomichi Marufuji.
Yes.
I get that right?
You did. Good
Impressive.
stuff.
So he claimed in an interview, I'm just going to go do timeline stuff. In an interview on 24th of December with he said basically that he was going into it with a broken left ankle and a broken right hand. There was images and stuff of a swollen hand on social media. And he also told Sports Illustrated he still hadn't fully recovered from the ailments that took him out from October 2021 to March of last year.
17 months.
And he's also had new injuries in the interim between there. And then, after the match, he called for an ambulance because he apparently had injured himself early on in the match. He wrestled for over half an hour. And it looks like he's done his other ankle as well now.
It's completely insane. This is completely insane. Obviously, there's a whole saga to unpack with Kota Ibushi in his current situation, but try and keep it as brief as possible. He's not the same. It's abundantly clear from the first AEW. I didn't watch the WrestleMania weekend stuff, but the AEW matches and stuff, not the same wrestler he used to be in so many ways. He said he's been saying for months, I'm injured. First of all, why did Noah let him wrestle?
Yes.
Right? Why did they let him wrestle for 33 minutes to the extent that he got injured again?
I saw the clip of him not being able to basically stand at the end of the match.
Yeah, like these companies have a duty of care. Like it shouldn't be down to the wrestler to go, I'm good, boss.
Yeah.
Like if your arm is hanging off and you go, hey, promotion, I can work. Your medical staff or your contractors, whatever the situation is, need to look at that situation and go, not too sure about that one, buddy. So first of all, my first opinion is that Noah shouldn't have let him wrestle yesterday, and I don't think that's a hot take. Second opinion is that Kota Ibushi needs to take some time off, and somebody, I don't know who, because he clearly wants to keep wrestling through all his ailments. I read somewhere that he doesn't believe in surgery, which is going to make recovering very difficult. Somebody close to him needs to go, Kota, this is sad, this is painful, for us to watch, as I'm sure it is for you. Please take some time, recover, go away for a bit and heal up, because this is brutal.
Yeah, surely it's better to go away for, just as a random number out the air, go away for a year and come back at 85%, than go away for 6 months and come back at like 50%.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I watched the Marufuji match yesterday, because like I don't know why actually. I saw the clips on socials.
Morbid curiosity.
Yeah, and it was legitimately. I'm loath to say it was like one of the worst matches I've ever seen, but it was awful because Kota Ibushi can't do anything because he's so banged up, and now it's even worse. It's like, we have the wrestling industry has a duty of care to look after the independent contractors who perform within it, and people need to start saying no to Kota Ibushi, and he needs to start looking after himself. I hate playing safety police, genuinely.
Yeah.
I hate going, I'm a doctor, medical expert guy. Like, it's legitimately one of my least favorite things to do, and for the most part, if a doctor's okay with something happening, so am I. But this is an extreme case, and I hope the guy takes as long as he needs and heals up.
Quite right. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of
I
course.
almost fell off my chair.
Just broke your ankle there.
Yeah. Jesus.
You've got your other one, it's fine.
That would not have been good.
Right, first question today comes from Ryan King, who says, I might be missing something, but why are so many quick to fantasy book Rhea versus Becky at WrestleMania 40 when Rhea versus Bianca is what was teased on the Raw after the last WrestleMania? I need real journalists to explain.
See, I would take both. Not on the same night or anything,
No.
but I would like both to happen in the not too distant future, and I think both are WrestleMania caliber matches. Bianca obviously is WWE's stadium queen these days. When it comes to WrestleMania, she just like hits that home run all the way over the soccer ball park. Great at rounders. So Yeah, that was teased, but I think the reason more people are like pointing towards Becky at the moment is because Becky's had such a great run over the past year or so, over the past few months. She's in the form of her life. This might be the best run of her WWE career, and I don't say that lightly. Certainly not in terms of like, you know, when she was the man, when she first came through and she was hottest thing in the entire industry. Maybe not in that sense, but in terms of in-ring performances and elevating others and everything else. I think that's why people are really hot for that match at the moment. I would take either. I'm not fussy. They'll both be great.
And she's done a lot of non-title stuff, obviously, with Trish and Zoe Stark and what have you, and now with Nia Jax. Yeah, it's one of those ones I was talking it through yesterday on the Raw review, and I was like, well, you know, potentially you've got, Io versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. And then, on the Raw side of things, you think Rhea versus Becky. And then you're like, well, where's Bianca Belair factor into all this? Because she has to have a big WrestleMania match. I don't know what it is. How they work. It's again a bit like with the Rock, Cody, Punk, Seth, Roman situation. It's a good problem to have.
Definitely.
But I don't know. You basically want all of them to have big matches. I do think they are going to go for Rhea versus Becky. I think that legacy feud of Bianca and Rhea is going nowhere. Yeah. You know, they're both barely in their prime.
Do it whenever you want.
So you can kind of do that whenever you want. I think for the time being, but yeah, it was one of those ones where I was actively hoping that Sasha Banks returned to WWE because then maybe you could take Bayley out of the Io match and do some sort of big tag thing with them, and that frees up Io for, I don't know, Bianca or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be really intriguing for all the title matches as we get on the road to WrestleMania to see what decisions they decide to make. But let's move on and talk about AEW and Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, because the entity says, so if Mercedes Moné becomes All Elite, given their history, is Saraya her first major feud?
For her first major feud, I would probably go with someone who, and this is going to sound like I'm dissing Saraya. It's not. But like I would rather that they went with someone who Mercedes can have like an incredible match with.
Yeah.
I would go from that perspective because like the AEW product is mostly predicated on the idea that you can come here and see this incredible standard of matches. So like I would love to see, obviously Jamie's injured at the moment, but someone like Hayter or like Serena Deeb who's coming back. So like someone who can deliver to that really high work rate standard in the ring like Mercedes can. Because like Saraya's appeal's a little bit different. She's not a super worker. She's very effective in her role. I thought she was good in the Riho match the other week where she's just like a stooging heel. She's a good villain. She's more of a character, I think, than an outright workhorse or whatever. That's not to diminish her in any way. They just play different roles. So like,
and I don't want them relying upon the injury storyline from other companies and stuff. Like that. It muddies the waters immediately as she arrives in the company. Britt Baker, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Again, like. The personality clash would be incredible.
Right, wouldn't it?
The promos would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of really interesting matches for Mercedes in AEW. And look, if she does sign there, which seems to be the direction we're heading, probably be a good news video on Thursday morning if that's the case. Get a nice title out of that one. There's loads of great options for her. Also, if she signs there, she can still do Japan stuff, which is good for me because I'm a nerd.
I think if they built her up, I think she could have a ripper with someone like Nyla Rose.
Yeah, Nyla Rose is...
Which I know is Nyla Rose is the person they always go to. Like, right, first title defense, Nyla. But that's because she's so brilliant and reliable.
She's so underrated, like Nyla Rose. Like, the amount of people that give her crap for, like, wrestling matches is insane. Because, like, you go, like... And again, this is another person that gets a lot of silly hate online, but like Rio, like those matches were sick. Yeah. Like some of the best matches in the division's history. Nyla Rose always seems to deliver in those big spots. And also, like, she should be on TV every single week because she's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like, queen of the one-liners.
Some of great on socials.
Incredible on socials. Just some of the wittiest banter in pro wrestling. Why is Nyla Rose not a weekly TV character? Blows my mind.
Long term as well. I'm not booking this straight away because I don't want either of them to lose. But Mercedes Moné versus Athena could be a huge match.
God, yeah, everything Athena interests me these days. So let's go.
Final question. It comes from Robert Smith. Thank you, Rob, for the question.
Big Bob, he knows what to do.
What is the destination for Randy Orton at WrestleMania? Obviously, he's in that triple threat on Friday, potentially, probably going on to fight Roman for the title at the Royal Rumble. But Rob says, could it be Nick Aldis's in-ring debut for WWE?
Ooh, WWE. I'll say one thing about that match. Say hello to Headlock. No, I'm being a dick. It would be pretty good. It would be good. Yeah, it's a difficult equation for Randy Orton, isn't it? Because he's not wrestling Cody at Mania. I don't. Well, I mean, look, if they do Roman versus The Rock, that might be the direction, right?
Do you know what? I've suddenly swung from yesterday going, no, they're not going to do that, to now thinking maybe they do Rock Roman in Australia. Because I've seen the size of that stadium.
It's a big old boy, isn't it?
Oh!
Remember that report Dave got horrendously wrong, where he read the wrong figure on WrestleTix Patreon and was like, yeah, WWE have only sold 8,000 tickets or something for
They sold 8
Australia.
tickets.
Yeah, there's only 8 people there, guys. That was funny. Dave's he's getting old, man. Poor guy.
But yeah, you could do Rock Roman in Australia and then Rock solo
Krang or someone, get him in.
at Mania without it being the main. I don't know. I'm trying to cram The Rock onto my WrestleMania card because I've never seen him wrestle. So
Do we need The Rock on WrestleMania? We don't.
I'd like
do
him to
we?
come out and set his name on fire.
Yeah,
at
I mean,
least.
like on that.
Sorry to our editor Adam Nicholas, who was there for that and is having horrific flashbacks right now.
We get a slightly bigger name sign.
Yeah.
For that one. Yeah, we'll see.
Set it on fire night 1. See if it's still burning. Night 2. Sorry, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Randy Orton. I don't know what he does at WrestleMania. For me, the Nick Aldis thing, I like the idea of having him as his first match at WrestleMania. If I had to pick anyone, I'd pick Kevin Owens.
Maybe he can get his win back against Alexa Bliss. I don't know. Kevin Owens would be a good pick because Kevin Owens rules. So yeah, I'm going with that too.
Yeah, but in terms of Randy Orton, like I don't want to just have him in a throwaway US title match. But if they build the US title up, and what if Gunther hasn't lost at this point?
Ooh, okay.
Gunther
Interesting.
versus Randy could be tasty.
Like, I'm Randy Orton. I've won the world title 13 times. I'll beat you, Gunther. As long as Gunther goes over.
Yes. You could also have a great near fall where you think Gunther's going to lose when he does that big, he does the big splash off the top rope and Randy does right there, innit?
You've done it.
There you go. Check out this video.
Bye.